Good morning and welcome to another Writer's Morning Commute. So, yesterday I talked about Seven Deadly Sins anime and writing your story with intention, including things not just because, not just because that's what you defaulted to, not just because it's the conventions of your genre, but actually thinking about and challenging your assumptions, preconceived notions, and making the story as best as you can. Today I thought I'd kind of continue that discussion. I know diversity is a word that kind of gets people riled up sometimes, but I think it's an important topic, and for what little my opinion is worth, I thought I would share my thoughts and my approach. So I've gotten into a few spirited debates on the internet about this. One of them revolved around the question of whether or not it was acceptable to have an all-male cast in a book, if all of your characters were male. And the other debate was centered around a person who talked about how they only had these two gay characters in their story, and they were in a relationship with each other, and I don't remember if either one or both of them died, but either one or both of them died pretty early in the book. I'm pretty sure one of them died and was like kind of the motivation for the other one to go on his adventure. So it was kind of a woman in a refrigerator, but a gay in a refrigerator. I don't know if that's a trope name, but that was the basic idea. And lots of people seem to be of the opinion that you should just write whatever you want to write and don't worry about anything else. Or that all stories, regardless of their diversity or what happens to who, are just fine, equally valid, and if that affects anybody else, that's just because those people are, a bunch of pansies or whatever. That's certainly not my approach, for two reasons. On a societal level, I do believe in the power of story. That's one of the reasons why I write. I write because I think stories can change people's hearts and minds, and I think they have a significant influence over our prejudices, our base assumptions, so on. I know a lot of stories have affected me. I wouldn't necessarily have called myself, or I don't necessarily think I was homophobic as a younger teenager, my first few years of high school, but I was at the very least unsympathetic to the challenges and risks, I guess, that homosexual and other queer people faced. And a friend recommended me the book, The Perks of Being a Wallflower, and that quickly became my favorite book. It's one of the few books that I've read repeatedly. And it was because of that book that I started to develop empathy for these people who had a different life experience than I did. And it wasn't an instantaneous change in my heart, but it was something that got me on the path to where I am today. So it was very important to me, in my opinion. And I want to have that kind of effect on other people. So including things like having the only, gay people in your book being in a relationship and one of them dying and their gay romance ending in tragedy reinforces a trend in literature that can be harmful, that can tell gay people that all of their romances are doomed to end in tragedy, that could tell homophobes that gay people deserve, shouldn't be together because their relationships always end in tragedy and they shouldn't be together in the first place. So I think it's important to consciously decide and challenge yourself on some things. And for the record, what I told that person was that maybe they should have multiple gay relationships and have, one of them end happily and one of them end in tragedy if they have to have one end in tragedy. Anyways, on the flip side, on your writing itself, I think our books become better when we evaluate what we're writing. I don't know if in Avatar: The Last Airbender, if Toph started off as a woman or if she started off as a guy, but it seems like the assumption would have been to go with a male Earthbender. Like, that seems like what people would have just assumed should happen. Maybe you'd be a blind male Earthbender, but it should be a beefy dude. But they went with this little tiny girl. I think that was an excellent choice, and one that a lot of people wouldn't have made if they weren't consciously evaluating how they could diversify their cast and what would make for the best story. And ultimately, I think that's what's important. I think you should go over your characters, see how you can diversify in age, race, gender, socioeconomic class, so on and so forth, and really ask yourself which one of these various options for each of these various subjects would make for the best story. Which ones of these makes my book the best? Sure, there are some books that make sense to have an all-male cast. That doesn't mean it's true for every book. So yeah, I just wanted to put those thoughts out there. Hope you have a great day. Thank you for hanging out with me.